doubt going to leave you all mind blowing tonight. She is she is an educator, right? And that's her background. And she would like to leave with you all tonight a legacy to carry on for your children, your grandchildren. She's going to introduce you all to finance, where she was never comfortable, but it was more or less in her husband's background, that was finance. And he introduced this business to her 3 years ago. Uh, was it 3 years ago? Wait, 2016, so almost 4 years ago. Sorry.
Shobs, I'm not hearing you.
So going in the volume, hearing me now?
Yes, thank you.
Right, sorry about that. Good. So without further ado, Miss Donna Samlalsing would like welcome Miss Donna Samlalsing to the floor.
Thank you, Shoba. Thank you. That's my sister in Tabakit, right? Shoba said some things there, and she is so right because my head was in the sand, virtually in the sand, because I felt as though it didn't matter to me. My husband knew finance, and I knew how to spend the money. I love spending, I love shopping. But that wasn't enough. As I started to study the One Academy and my mind started to open up and question the world of finance in which I lived. And I was like, what is this? This is what is happening. I was so unaware, so not aware of what was going on in the world of finance. And I think many of us today are suffering from the same pain. But you're going to find out. You're going to journey with me through the research, through what I have done, and you are going to find out a bit more about the world of finance in which we live, which controls our lifestyle, which determine how you and I live. And that was my question. That was my challenge. I wanted to find out more. And in this situation today, where we are being challenged physically, and praise God that Trinidad is all right, we are going well, praise God. I decided to take my mind out of quarantine and do more research and study my One Academy more and really get deep. And all I can ask this evening is that you join me in taking your mind out of quarantine and let's find out a bit more about the world of finance in which we live. So I'm going to share my screen with you at this time. And I want to say welcome. Welcome to everyone, both near and far, wherever you are. The word of God says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So I hope this evening we will learn a bit more and be able to do a bit more. And as Shoba said, leave a legacy for our children and grandchildren. Let them know your name. My disclaimer this evening: the information contained herein and dispensed is not designed to be a source of financial information, nor should it be construed as such. One Life is not an investment company. The images and videos in this presentation are the property of their respective owners. truly, we are heading into a storm. The global debt reached 188 trillion in 2018. And the Institute of International Finance said on January 14, 2020, spurred by low interest rates and loose financial conditions, we estimate that total global debt will exceed 257 trillion in the first quarter of 2020. We are already here. So this evening, join me on a journey through the world of finance. And as Shobha said, it may be morning, it may be night, wherever you are in this world, come on this journey with me and let's go behind the scenes so we can understand a bit more about the financial systems that control our lives. To know is to be enlightened and empowered. But my question to you this evening is, what do we know? What do we truly know about the people that control us, the people that control how we live, that say what we do and when we do it? What do we really know? Let's see if we can go through and go back in time. So we'll rewind time as I share with you some of the systems that function in the financial world.
If you're confused by the difference between the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, and the World Bank, well, you're not the only one. Famed economist John Maynard Keynes, who was a founding father of both institutions, said that he was confused just by their names. The IMF and the World Bank are closely linked. So close that their headquarters are across the street from each other here in Washington. So what's the difference between them? It all started at this hotel in New Hampshire in July 1944, where 44 countries gathered for the Bretton Woods Conference. The goal of the conference was to agree on a new framework for the international monetary system, which is the rules and institutions that keep the global economy running smoothly. After World War II, most people agreed that the old system had failed. It had seen the Great Depression, unfair trade policies, and unstable currencies. After 3 weeks of heated negotiations at Bretton Woods, especially between Keynes, who was representing the United Kingdom, and Harry Dexter White, the U.S. Treasury representative, a deal was reached. The agreement created the IMF and the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, soon to be known as the World Bank. Each institution was given a distinct role. The IMF's job was to oversee a system of fixed exchange rates, which tied the value of a country's currency to the US dollar, which was pegged to gold. The main purpose of this was to make sure exchange rates stayed stable to encourage global trade. The IMF was also tasked with providing short-term loans to countries struggling to pay their debts. Meanwhile, the main goal of the World Bank was to give financial assistance to countries, mainly in Europe, that needed to rebuild after the war. The roles of both the IMF and the World Bank have changed a lot since the days of Bretton Woods. President Nixon unpegged the US dollar from gold in 1971, essentially dissolving the fixed exchange rate system that the IMF oversaw. Since then, the IMF has taken on a bigger role fighting financial crises around the world. It keeps tabs on the global economy and puts economic policies in place in member countries. The World Bank focuses its efforts on development and reducing poverty. It provides funding and resources in projects in some of the poorest countries in the world. Both institutions include 189 member countries, but the IMF has around 2,700 employees, compared to the World Bank staff of 10,000. The IMF is funded mainly by quotas, basically subscription fees from member countries. It receives around $675 billion in quotas, with the US, Japan, China, and Germany contributing the most. The World Bank is financed mostly by issuing bonds to global investors. The group's lending commitments reached nearly $59 billion in fiscal year 2017. The IMF has committed $160 billion under its current lending arrangements. Today, the IMF's biggest borrowers include Greece, Ukraine, Portugal, and Pakistan. The places where the World Bank is running the most projects are in Africa and East Asia.
Let's look at something. When I was doing my research on this, I wanted to know these major financial institutes, what they did. And we saw a bit of that with the IMF and the World Bank. But let me tell you how they get their money. You notice she said they get their money from quotas subscription. It is paid by member states. They have 189 countries under their wings, just as the World Bank, and they contribute money. This money is determined by a formula, and how much each government can pay according to the size of its economy is determined by this formula. So a country's quota determines the maximum financial subscription to the IMF. That's the first thing. That is determined how much you pay to the IMF. It also determines the country's voting power in the issues of the IMF. So how much say you have in the IMF. And it also has bearing on its access to IMF financing. So let me do a little bit of assumption here. I am assuming that if I put more money, I have more strength in my voting power and more access to IMF financing. I think you'll agree with me on that. The World Bank, however, does the opposite. They issue bonds. What is a bond? A bond is a loan to a company or government that pays investor a fixed rate of return over a specific time frame. So here what's happening. The World Bank issue bonds, we buy it, and that is a loan to the World Bank, and then they use that money. Just as IMF will use the quotas to help countries and do other things with it, that is what we contribute to the IMF and to the World Bank. Let's see what's happening in the banking system today. We're happy to explain our fee because you see, everything in the bank is a fee. Every month I pay my bank $15 per month, whether I have money in the bank or not. So I don't know what they're managing if the account is empty or if it's down to $10. But I'll tell you something, anything that goes into that account, that $15 comes out first. Not food, not my concern, it's not care for me. It's $15 for them for having a bank account in my name. But then when I put money in the bank, what do they do with it? And that was my challenging question, because I want you to listen to this video by a London parliamentarian called Godfrey Bloom. Hear what he says, his concept of banking, and he should know.
It is my opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal, and it's been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money. And yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
That was a powerful statement. You know, some of the questions that came up with this video was, how can you lend money that you don't have? And he talked about deposit guarantee. When you deposit your US in the bank, do you get it back, or do you have to go every day or every week for 100 US? And you just deposited $2,000 US in the bank, but you can't get it. Have you ever asked your question why? Have you ever asked that question? Because he talked about fractional reserve banking, and he talked about quantitative easing as well. And I want to share with you this concept this evening, these two thoughts. Fractional reserve banking is one of the biggest frauds of mankind. I didn't say it. Do your research and you will see for yourself. Most people, including politicians, do not understand how the banking and the monetary system works. Most people falsely assume that when you deposit money to a bank, the bank actually saves the money in its vault. They probably put your name on it and it's in a drawer. So when you go in there and you say, Jack money, oh, Jack, here's your money in the drawer. No, no, no. The bank can use the money to speculate on derivatives, stock, government bonds, financial instruments, or simply lend the money to others. In other words, it's legal for the bank to do what they want with your money through fractional reserve banking. And I will tell you how that works. You see, let's call this depositor, the first depositor who deposited $1,000, John. John deposited $1,000 to the bank. The bank, the central bank requirement, legal requirement is that the bank reserves 10% of John's money, which is $100. But they are permitted to do whatever they want with the remaining $900. So they lend it out. They loan it out to Mary, whatever, but they loan it out. But in their records, there is $1,900 in the system. Now, the bank has 100 in reserve. Somebody help me to understand this. Because if a depositor deposits $1,000, you reserve 100, you loan out 9, how you still end up with 1,900? You lend it out, you loan it out. How you end up with 1,900 in the system? This is probably why Mr. Bloom said they make money out of nothing. There's no reason banks are creating money. So here what Tom, depositor 2, deposit $900. 10% is reserved, $90. And then $810 is loaned out. At this point, there's $2710 in the system and the bank has $190. So depositor deposit $810. But the reserve 10%, loan out $729. Somebody do the maths, because at this point, there's $3,439 in the system when the bank has only received in total $2710. The bank has $271 in reserve. If I could do that, my bills would surely get paid in a hurry. But this is the authority given to the bank. And you see the other one that kept coming up at you all the time, quantitative easing, start the presses. Recently, we saw Donald Trump stating that $6 trillion will be given to ease COVID situation. America owes $23 trillion. They owe $23 trillion. Where is $6 trillion coming from? The presses have started. In 2008, when the story came up too big to be failed, when Lehman Brothers fell and a set of other banks was asking, who is next? And there was this big bailout. At that time, America had a loan already, and $700 billion was pumped into the system to save the banks at that time. Start the presses. That's quantitative easing. No wonder Godfrey Bloom was so upset. Who pays for this? You see, I leave this with your thought. Think about it. Am I real or am I not? Who controls your money? You see, in 1922, Henry Ford said, it is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system. But if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. Let's look at this video.
Under this fractional reserve scheme, we inevitably become debt slaves to a ruling class of financial elite. Not because they are better or smarter than anyone else, but because they have rigged the system to benefit themselves at the expense of most people on the planet. Catherine Austin Fitts is an expert on this issue. She was an Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development under President George Bush Sr., and then an advisor to the Clinton administration.
Let's set up a game of Monopoly and you want to buy Park Place. What I can continually do is just print money, give myself more money, lower the value of your money by printing more. No matter how hardworking you are or how successful you are, I can always end up buying you for free.
So how come if you or I make up money, it's called counterfeiting, but if the banks do it, it's increasing the money supply? How did the banks get this power? This is Jekyll Island, where in 1910, representatives from the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Morgans, and other private bankers gathered secretly to draft the legislation that would create the Federal Reserve. Ed Griffin literally wrote the book on what happened at Jekyll Island.
Central banks are banking cartels which have gone into partnership with the respective governments in the countries where they operate. And they've been given monopolistic power over the creation of the nation's money supply. That's what the politicians handed to them as a gift, you might say, for the partnership. Now, in return, what did the bankers do for the politicians? They promised to create money out of nothing, now that they've got this legal power to do it anytime the government needs it.
And since 2008, we've witnessed the greatest fake money printing run in recorded history. This financial sleight of hand disguises the costs, hides who's to blame, and leaves us as debt slaves working to pay off the bill. I found it revealing that in the same year the Federal Reserve was founded, 1913, the Internal Revenue Service was also established. An income tax was then instigated so you and I would have to pay the politicians' debt plus interest to the bankers.
The problem is we have a privately owned central bank system in the United States disguised as a government-owned system. Now, if you look in the telephone book here in the Washington, D.C. area, you look up for Federal Reserve in the blue government pages, it's not there. It's in the white pages right next to Federal Express. It's a privately owned central bank.
What is the proper relationship, what should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. There is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take.
We have a private bank that prints money on behalf of the Treasury. The Federal Reserve prints money on a debt-based system which creates scarcity. But it puts a group of insiders in a position of having access to all the data about the economy when we don't. So you have a small group of bankers who understand the data on how the money works in the economy, and it gives them the ability to print money in a way that the insiders are protected and everybody else is drained.
Catherine went on to compare a healthy economy to a vibrant torus, balanced, freely flowing, and energized throughout, in contrast to what's happening in our current economy.
What you have is a system that's very dynamic, and it's trying to optimize. But intertwined in the core of it, you have a tapeworm. The way a tapeworm works in your body is it injects a chemical into your body that makes you crave what's good for the tapeworm and bad for you. You have a parasite that's very much manipulating and engorging itself at the expense of the whole.
We live in a tapeworm economy where the financial elite are the tapeworm and they're feeding on us. And they don't like it when people blow their cover. After Catherine began exposing government corruption at the highest levels, the FBI raided her company and seized its assets. She was dragged through the courts for 10 years before being found innocent. So we've got the Federal Reserve, a privately owned corporation with a monopoly on creating money, but with no accountability, backed up by a government with a monopoly on force. The country got sold on the Fed as an institution that would help stabilize the economy and remain independent of politics. But in fact, in close to a century of existence, the Federal Reserve has done just the opposite. Since they took charge, we've been robbed through inflation, and the purchasing power of the dollar has declined more than 96%. And the wealth gap makes it clear most of the money is going to a very few.
You know, I listened to that woman, I listened to that video. You know what struck me the most? Two things. A tapeworm economy. They say a tapeworm let sort of liquid that make you crave what the tapeworm wants, not what you wanted. Have we been so infiltrated in our systems that we crave what others want for us more than what we want for ourselves? Are we so controlled by that? Who controls the money controls the world. She also identified that it was 10 years. 10 years she was dragged through the mud. 10 years because she spoke out. What then do we say? We just to keep quiet and say nothing. So if something comes up that would benefit us as a people, are we going to give it over because who controls the money controls the world? You see, the key takeaways showed us that the Federal Reserve and other central banks control money by adjusting its supply and adjusting how much it costs to borrow money, influencing interest rates, printing money, and setting bank reserve requirements are all tools central banks use to control the money supply. Other tactics central bank use include open market operations and quantitative easing, which involves selling or buying government bonds and securities. Let's look at the word inflation, which came up there. It is an economic term that refers to an environment of generally rising prices of goods and services within a particular company. In 1970, coffee was 25 cents. And in 2019, the said cup of coffee from the same coffee tree was $1.59. This is a mild description. I'm saying to you what caused that coffee to rise. But worse than that is hyperinflation. That is what is happening in Venezuela today. When prices rise by more than 50% a month, people stop using their currency, prices shoot up on a daily basis, and people start hoarding basic products because you don't know what it will cost tomorrow. So just imagine in Venezuela, you are buying a tube of toothpaste today for 1,000 bolivars. And when you go back to the shop tomorrow, that same toothpaste is 10,000 Bs. I mean to say, the money was worthless. You saw them in the streets with it holding their heads. Great losses. Let's just look at this picture for a moment. The rich pours into the poor, but the poor pours right back into the rich. The game of monopoly continues.
A dire projection from the International Monetary Fund, but one that many were expecting. It says the economic turmoil caused by the coronavirus pandemic could be more severe than the devastating 2008 global financial crisis. The IMF says the world's central banks should take even more extraordinary fiscal actions in a bid to ward off what could be a cushioning economic recession or even depression. Our Kim Hyun.
The IMF head says global economy now in recession. That news reporter indicated could be a recession or even deeper than that, a depression. Do we understand those terms? I needed to know what they were saying that was happening in the world, because it is clear that the global economy has now entered a recession that could be as bad or worse than the 2009 downturn. This is new thing, as we would say for us. New things are happening all around the world. We are in a recession. What is a recession versus a depression? In a recession, the gross domestic product contracts for at least 2 quarters, but that's not all. There are many more economic indicators that signal a recession. That's because GDP growth will usually slow for several quarters before it turns negative. That's in response to sluggish consumer demand. What then is GDP? And what is a depression? So let's look at these two. A depression is an extended recession that has years, not quarters, of economic contractions. It's more severe than a recession. Unemployment reaches 25%, housing prices plummeted 30%, and prices fall 10%. The devastation of a depression is so great that the last Great Depression, the effects of it lasted for decades after it ended. The GDP, it represents the monetary value of all goods and services produced, within a nation's geographic borders over a specified period of time. That's your gross domestic product. The economic contraction, however, is a decline in national output as measured by gross domestic product. That includes a drop in real personal income, industrial production, and retail sales. It increases unemployment rates. A contraction is caused by a loss in confidence that slows the demand. People, big words, big terms, but things we need to know. You see, on the opposite side of every crisis is an opportunity. Therefore, in 2009 came the opportunity in the form of cryptocurrency. And the first cryptocurrency was Bitcoin, which was introduced in 2009. And in 2013, when Bitcoin started in 2009, no one understood. It was like, what is this? Invisible money. No, not me. But in 2013, it reached over $1,200 as people started to realize there was something happening in the world called cryptocurrency. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad, he follows the money. And he is highly optimistic about cryptocurrencies, but predicts historic market crash. He said crypto is the people's money. Now, this is Robert Kiyosaki. If you do your research, you will see that a lot of people with money are buying cryptocurrency. They are experiencing the tale of two economies because they are fiat and they are getting rich in crypto because this is the new face of money. And Robert Kiyosaki, who follows the money, who is a millionaire, you would not go to a shoemaker to find out about money, would you? You would look at what the millionaires do, what the rich people do. And Robert Kiyosaki says he's highly optimistic about cryptocurrencies. So let's hear what this video has to say about cryptocurrency being the future of money.
We use money every day, but we rarely appreciate its power and its flaws. It's a tool that has been at the center of human progress. And as we build bigger and tackle complex problems, we're going to need the best tools available.
We have a global economy. We're going to need a global digital currency.
Cryptocurrency is going to be a great democratizing force for the world because it's going to level the playing field and allow anybody with a cell phone to access financial services.
This is going to transform how we think about a real global economy. I think in order to understand its importance, we first have to define what currency means. What currency does is it actually allows us to agree upon the value of something. It's almost like a communication tool.
There are different ways of coordinating human beings. One way that you can do that is with money. You can incentivize people to try to work on the same thing at the same time.
We started off building simple systems like a bridge crossing a river to very amazing things like rocket ships. We went from interacting with our neighbors to now transacting with each other around the world. And we want to make sure that people can move money freely. And our current financial system just doesn't enable that.
So the current systems are very centralized, and so we have big banks and big governments. There's a lot of middlemen who make things incredibly inefficient.
When you talk about the problems of the existing financial system, you can go to a situation like Venezuela where money is being printed and folks' savings are basically being destroyed.
The value of their wealth has been completely eroded. I think a lot of us in the United States sort of take this idea for granted that someone gives us money, it'll be in our bank account, and it's not going to disappear or be taken away from us. And that's really a luxury that many people in the world don't have at all. There are about 1.8 billion people in the world today who have a cell phone but don't have access to any financial services. And what's really powerful about cryptocurrency is that it lets anybody, if you just have a smartphone and internet connection, participate in the global economy.
What cryptocurrency does is takes the stability that we have and gives it to the rest of the world.
Takes the stability that we have and give it to the rest of the world. Cryptocurrency is leveling the playing field. You're going to realize that in global trade and other things, cryptocurrency is creating a level playing field. It is the people's money, and it is making things a lot cheaper for us. We are now in control of our money. But with the authorities like that, with the powers that be like that, well, this evening I share with you a company called One Life. One Life. I am an IMA of One Life, and I present to you a company that is the opportunity after the crisis. We are a global company, 3.6 million users, 3.6 million plus. We have 125,000 plus merchants, and we are over 194 countries in the world. In just 5 years, that is what this company has done. Our vision, our mission, is to enable a global community of web users to take active part in using and improving new cutting-edge digital products and services. We aim to increase the quality of life of members and, of course, ignite a natural educational evolution. That is our mission. We have a one ecosystem which surrounds the coin, which surrounds our cryptocurrency. And by developing the elements in the ecosystem, we encourage the coin's usability, functionality, and reliability. Our ecosystem has the One Life Network, which is the people. We are the people involved. The educational platform, which is the One Academy. The trading One Forex platform, which is a $5 trillion industry, which takes you from zero to hero, sorry. We have the OWF charity arm, where we help and educate young people and people of the world. We have remittances coming in and exchange coming in, that's on the way. And we have the Deal Shaker platform, which is our merchant platform franchise, where you can shop till you drop, where you can become a merchant, or you can buy and enjoy the appreciation and the value and the usability, functionality, reliability of your one. Education is what people do to you. But I say to you this today, learning is what you do to yourself. Learning is the key of understanding our world. And that is why as a company, we say education is at the heart of the company, of our company, because we want to educate you in the areas of finance. We want to introduce you to finance and to share with you financial markets risk and financial management. We want to introduce you to the world of Forex that I said to you just now was a $5 trillion market that takes you from zero to hero. It goes into the types of trading strategies. And we want to bring the law to you. Because yes, we are prepared as a company to do the right thing, to live in this world and to work alongside with those powers that be. So we give you the legal definition for cryptocurrency. We give you legal implications for the regulators, and we give you regulations and much, much more. Integration of cryptocurrencies and compliance, this and a lot more. And as I said to you before, the Deal Shaker, an interactive commerce hub, it levels the playing field of money and trade, just as cryptocurrency does. It levels the playing field. You see, in Trinidad and Tobago, once a month, we present to you the one market. We go all over. We may be at the Center of Excellence. We may be in Sandy Grande. We may be in Diego Martin. Anywhere you can find us around the country. Once a month, we invite you to come to Little Petite Bazaar, the foodie affair. Spend your ones, spend your fiat. Experience the new world of cryptocurrency and what you can do with it. Cashless shopping at its best. Listen.
If you have or do not have one, you must watch this video. OneCoin and One Life were born in 2014 with the specific purpose of becoming the main digital currency in the world in terms of usability. This has always been the vision of its founder, Dr. Ruja Ignatova. One day we will use one to buy all kinds of goods and services. From 2014 to 2020, OneCoin and One Life spread rapidly with great success in 94 countries in the world. And while central banks continue to print fiat currencies, creating inflation and poverty, the IMA that own One begin to understand the great value that they got purchasing One Academy's financial education courses. The world population will be forced into debt for living. One reduces the cost of living, the cost of money transfers, improves the quality of life by giving all its holders the opportunity from now on to pay for groceries, gasoline, utilities in general, travel, health services, and much more. Fiat currencies constantly lose value due to monetary policies that are not aimed to protect the interests of the mass. On the contrary, one, the more it is used, the more it increases its value because it is designed to protect the interests of the world population. One was born to be a non-speculative currency, to be used with the same value all over the world to buy and sell goods and services. In January 2015, with 100 euros, you could fill a shopping cart. Today, with 100 euros, you fill half a shopping cart. In January 2015, you needed 201 at 50 cents each to make 100 euros. Today, to make 100 euros, you just need 2.361 to maintain the same purchasing power as 5 years ago. This is the difference between those who have one and those who don't. We are experiencing an era of great changes, where the traditional economy is in crisis and new digital realities are exploding all over the world. Many entrepreneurs have started to understand the great opportunity of one and the DealShaker e-commerce platform. How to obtain the MasterCard debit card.
And we stop there because you need to come on board, speak to the person who invited you and find out how to obtain the MasterCard debit card. Not only that, one is here because somebody took time out to care, to help your financial future become stronger and to leave a legacy for your children. If you want, let me tell you something. It is this simple. You need to come on board. You need to become a part of this community and create for yourself the tale of two economies. I always borrow that from my Diamond Michelle. The tale of two economies where you're strong in fiat and you're stronger in ones. Let me tell you something. One will create a world for you where you will see an appreciating value to your finance. Simple joy. Purchase a starter. As simple as that. Just want to gently join because you're still not sure. But let me tell you something. 1,400 TTD in the bank will be nothing tomorrow. But 1,400 TTD in this business will take you to places you cannot believe. It will start you on an educational journey that can change your life. With your educational package, you can choose to accept free promotional tokens to mine with your educational package. After that, your tokens go through a process of mining where it will split, double in the amount, and then you have your coins, your one coin. Find out more. Get back to the person who shared this with you and learn more about a growing community, a growing cryptocurrency called One. You see, when One came to be in January 2015, it started at 50 cents. But in January 2019, it was 29.95. And today, with a round of applause, we bring it on at 42.43 euros. Don't you want to know more? Doesn't it disturb you that you have been controlled for so long? Find out what is happening in the world around you. You see, our goal as a company is to become the #1 cryptocurrency in the world. And we can do this through usability. The coming time will be OneCoin, which will be used like fiat currency in the market. In May 2020, the new DealShaker outlet store in Shandong, China, Zibo City, officially opened. What are others saying about cryptocurrency? Because you heard from me this evening. But what are others saying? What is the world saying about cryptocurrency? The G20, which are the countries that control the world, that control the finances of the world, said 15 legal, 6 neutral, 4 restricted, 1 illegal in 2018. And in 2019, in Japan, the G20 said we were firm position on cryptocurrencies in said statement. They do not currently constitute a threat to monetary stability, that is cryptocurrencies, and that technological innovation can deliver significant benefit to the economy. Let's go to Malta, the first country to regulate cryptocurrency, and they're using it now strong with blockchain. Let's go to Mexican lawmakers. They passed cryptocurrency regulation bill. India, The Indian courts lift cryptocurrency ban. And if you have heard it being banned in other countries, let me tell you, do your research, because Sweden and other countries are lifting the ban of cryptocurrency as they recognize that virtual currency is the way to go.
China accounted for 90% of Bitcoin trade just 1 year ago. But with Beijing banning initial coin offerings, or ICOs, and regulators shutting down Bitcoin exchanges there, Japan is setting out on a different path, embracing the crypto movement.
Bitcoin trade here in Japan accounts for nearly half the global trade volume. Compare that to 25% in the U.S. The number has surged since the government passed a new law earlier this year recognizing the digital currency as a legal form of payment.
All right. So
days of overstuffed wallets in your back pocket or purse might soon come to an end. By 2020, mobile wallets on our smartphones are expected to surpass the use of credit and debit cards in the U.S. That has already happened in China. Ben Tracy is in Beijing to show us what a nearly cashless society actually looks like. Ben, good morning.
Good morning. So when I moved here to China a couple of months ago, I kept getting funny looks every time I would pull cash out of my wallet to pay for things. And then I got one of these. It's a code on my phone, and now I can basically buy anything here in China. When you pay for something, how do you pay for it?
Mobile phone.
On the streets of Beijing, cash is definitely not king. What
Let me say this.
Karin Linder stocks up on supplies at the supermarket. But Karin, like most people here in Sweden, won't be paying with cash when she gets to...
Best. Ideas are born every day. Mark Zuckerberg fighting for Libra, for the new cryptocurrency. That's the chief executive officer of Facebook. Elon Musk said when he did SpaceX, he said change the world and help humanity. Robinhood, co-founder and CEO, says it's a free trading app that lets investors trade stocks, options, exchange traded funds, and cryptocurrency without paying commission. Apple was a dream, building personal computers. Who's a home improvement hub, which started with a husband and wife who were doing interior decorating to their home and came up with a company that is now worth an impressive $4 billion. Under Armour, Kevin Plank found that the wearing of heavy sweaty t-shirts was having him uncomfortable. He came up with one that helped him to stay dry, sold it from his car trunks, stopped the car trunk, now has a warehouse, and with nearly $4 billion in annual revenues. What do you think in 2009 was the birthing and the reasons for cryptocurrency? It was for you and for me to create a stronger financial system. Cryptocurrency is digital currency or money. It uses blockchain technology. It serves as ordinary money. And the value of digital currencies depend on supply and demand. Therefore,
Hi, Donna, are you there? Hi. Believe Donna got bumped off. Anybody hearing Donna by chance?
No, Shubha, I'm not hearing either.
Okay, apparently she got bumped off. Let's see if we get her back.
Okay.
Hold on.
Shubha, it seems as if her battery died, you know.
Okay.
I think that's what happened.
1 minute.
Shubha, I want to suggest that you go ahead and wrap up.
Okay. Right. So I told you all Donna would bring a lot of information to you all tonight. And she got disconnected somehow, but I'm sure she was near the end. So I'm sure that we learned a lot from her tonight, a lot about finance, where the world is heading. I'm sure you all would have heard about the cryptocurrency. She reached the point where she was introducing One Life and our educational packages. We have the legal packages, we have finance, we also have law, right? And she said you can start at 140 euros. Ah, you're back up, darling.
Yes,
Nice.
yes, Shobes. I do apologize.
That's
The plug
okay.
went out. Sorry about that. The current went.
So I was, okay. So I was letting them know about the packages. They can start from 140 TT.
Beautiful.
Right? 140 euros or 1400 TT in Trinidad here. I know we are all around the globe. So 140 euros would be your starting point, right?
Would you just like me to end with the last little thing I wanted to say?
Are you ready?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
So I hand you all back over to Donna.
I do appreciate that, and I do apologize again to all present. Right, let's just get into this very quickly and finish. So I was saying to you about cryptocurrency, and I was saying to you why it is virtual gold, and I was telling you the technology that guided it is a blockchain, which is records stored in the form of blocks, which are controlled by no single authority. A distributed ledger that is completely open to any and everyone in the network. The data stored in the blockchain is tamper-proof and cannot be changed. And of course, this increases the level of trust in cryptocurrencies. You see, we saw countries that have gone cashless, and that came about because unable to control the growth and influence of cryptocurrencies, many leading countries are now choosing to, central banks are now choosing to go cashless, right? They're launching their own versions of cryptocurrency or just using digital currency without blockchain to create a currency, which is simply digital currency without blockchain. Is simply a currency issued by a bank in digital form. So the monopoly money will continue. Your money is wearing a mask. It's protecting itself. What are you doing to protect your money?
We think it's time for the financial world to stop acting the same old way. You need a partner that is willing to break free from conventional thinking.
We are stronger as one. If we team up as a people and put forward, become a part of this community, put the strength into understanding what we have shared with you this evening, and understanding that one life is here to deliver. We are here to save, and we become one. We are stronger as one people. Never be afraid to reinvent yourself, never. Create a new you. Do new things so that people will hear your voice in this world. Too long we have been controlled by those powers that be. Is cryptocurrency a scam? That's my question to you. Or is it the next currency? First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. My thanks to you for being here with us. Together we make history, and thank you. Back to Shoba. Thank you, Shoba.
Thank you, Donna. Like I said, she would definitely be bringing you information and knowledge. Thank you, Donna, for that presentation.
Welcome, Shoba. Thank you.
God for we are able to carry on the show despite the little hiccups. And tonight we'll ask our Blue Diamond, Mr. and Mrs. King James, to please step forward if it's possible and share with us a little bit about the journey they have been going through for the past 4 years. That One Life has been in Trinidad. It's 5 years now. And I'd like to hand it over to Mr. King James, please.
Thank you, Ms. Gopi Singh. Donna Samla Singh, congratulations on a super fantastic job. If there's any guests listening tonight on this call, please, with immediate effect, don't hesitate, don't doubt, don't think long, think wrong. Position yourself. get started now. She did ask for myself and my wife, so I don't know if Patrice is there. I'm not sure she's on the call. So I'll just represent the both of us. It gives me a real privilege to share this evening and just to talk about why I'm excited about this opportunity. And I really, really feel extremely, I don't know if I could even put into words the joy and excitement that I have bubbling inside. I saw something today that brought back some memories, and that's when the team and I, we were in Vietnam for an event, and it had a little bowling clip. And of course, I mean, we're not going to talk about who won or whatever the case may be, but the fact of the matter is, besides me winning, no, that did go a little joke, right? But besides the winning, the event of itself, just being able to be with countrymen, being on the other side of the globe for a particular business that none of us had an idea we would have been in 10 years ago, 5 years ago. None of us really crossed paths like this before. And I'm bringing this up to let you know, you join more than a business when you join this One Life opportunity. You join something that is going to enhance you. You join something that is going to expand you. And if you have been closed or you have not opened up before, this business is going to push you, and you yourself need to challenge yourself. So if you are here hearing me for the first time, I'm asking you to come involved to experience change. And if you think you have it all together, no problem. If you think you have learned more than the average bear and you're smarter than the average bear, this is not the place for you. But if you're willing to learn, you're willing to push the envelope, you're willing to develop, we welcome you. And for you that's already a part of this, guess what? Open up, broaden your horizons. The event in Romania is coming up. Do not use money as an excuse. Make money. This is an opportunity where we can print money technically. And when I say print money, it's because people all around Trinidad and Tobago right now, especially with the planning that is being rolled out by this government that we are here a part of, they're looking for something to do with what little they have. And if they are not looking to do something, it's because they don't understand what is happening. No one can tell me they want to save. Not in this time that we're living in, they want to save in fiat currency. If they want to save, suggest to them that they put a portion of what they have into learning about the second economy so they'll be positioned, even if it's just a So make money. Make money. Decide to build, help, and share this concept with someone and make income. Do not deny yourself this Romania trip. If you don't have your passport, guess what? The event is in August. You have enough time to call, get your passport appointment, and get a passport. Just today, I was looking at my passport and I don't have no pages left. So I need to do what? Renew at this time. So I'm asking you, do not miss this global event, because this business is going to hit that the blast off, I believe. Still, we have to climb in the sky. Still, before we reach the altitude to cruise, we still have to blast off. But we have been tumbling long enough. And now it's time to blast off and see all the smoke fill the crowd as we take off and leave behind, unfortunately, those that didn't want to hear and would end up feeling. I ask of you, my friends, to come and experience change. I really sat today and I observed a couple of things, spoke to some people, and I feel excited. Excited about the information the company released today. If you're not aware of it, please, let me just take a little bit of time just to share with you that this is the news that was released in our emails, and those who are subscribed to the newsletter, if you're not subscribed, it will be shared. That's not a problem. The Legend of the One. This is the event I'm speaking of. But I'm going there for the event to be excited, but to also build memories with my friends as I beat everybody that comes on the trip in bowling. A real man sport. Ask Cliff Samuel Singh. He needs to rise up. But my friend Keston Pierre has been traveling to Grenada just so he could practice. I'm saying to you, come on, let's go bowling. If you're not interested in Romania, no problem, let's go bowling. Come and build lasting memories that's going to keep you in this organization. But besides all of that, you see this lucky training draw? This lucky training draw, you have a chance to buy a training package. And this training package that you're going to buy is going to give you 20 chances to win prizes like this. A Dubai apartment. I already secured a Dubai apartment, so I don't necessarily need to win the prize. Bless God, I'm already inside. But the yacht, I don't mind parking this up in Trinidad and Tobago. And all over it, we're putting one coin logo and one life logo. I bet you Tom, Dick, Harry, and Harry Lau want to join then. But would you be one of the persons with us? Would you be the one of the supporters that said, here what, let's put together and get this in Trinidad and Tobago. Let's buy out as many as the category 1 tickets. It's 20 chances in that training that you're going to receive. So you receive a digital training and you receive 20 chances to win these prizes. They have a piano in the yacht, you know. This is a mansion on sea. Listen, X1, you could bring back that vehicle or you could get that vehicle shipped to you. 50 laptops, 50 cell phones. You're that bad lucky? You can't win a laptop self? Out of the 20 chances, it's possible. It's 200 euros in fiat, 200 in ones. If you have to put together, just get some chances, do what you must. But don't miss out on having a chance. You don't have a ticket, you don't have a chance. Get yourself on the platform and get to the purchasing. This just released today, 26 sold. Our mission is to sell out to 50,000 in category 1, because this gives you the most opportunity possible to win a prize. Let's get it done. Let's get it done. Hundreds of prizes given out. Why 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 can be called via Trinidad? Let's have fun, man. Let's build this thing. Let's do this thing. So I want to encourage you tonight to position thyself. Join the Romania trip. Come experience some bowling. Come experience some time. Take a day before the trip so you can reach a day early. And make sure you stay 2 days after the event so you can leave 2 days after the event. So we could get to experience some things. That's how I learned how to travel. You can't just come in and out. It's a little frustrating, especially if it's your first event. So try to come a day before, and leave 2 days after the event. So you can soak up and even get a little visit of something in between. My humble suggestion. Well, I do know, God's be alive. Everything according to plan. I shall be there, my wife and I. What say you? I hope you say one life for more life, as I say one's out.
Thank you, King James. One life for more life. Wow, you all heard of the tale of 2 economies. That's using your crypto and using your fiat. So, God's willing, coronavirus is clear in the air, and we're going to Romania. How many of you are positioned with your ones to be there at that event? Now, he used the tale of 2 economies, Donna used it. So you all understand you're paying part in fiat and part in crypto. So tonight we urge you all to please get back to the person that invited you, right? We are almost finished with our 60-day online course, online tutoring here with you all, or presenting with you all here of the business. And we hope to meet some of you all in person who have been here for the first time. As we say, get back to the person who invited you. We have some exciting prizes to be won upon purchasing your tickets using your crypto ones and your fiat. So we are here again tomorrow, same time, 8 o'clock. And we hope to see you and our guests here tomorrow on the call. As Captain said, one's out. Good night, everyone. Or good day, everyone, wherever you are in the world. Thank you for joining us.